The world of welding. Most people know a generalization of what welding is, but what they don't know is that many things today wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for welding. When thinking of welding, they think of a guy melting some metal together with sparks and electricity. There can't be that much to it. In order for someone to fully appreciate and understand welding, they would need some insights such as when it was invented, what welding is, and how welding actually works. Welding consists of more than taking two pieces of metal, melting them together with sparks and electricity. According to GoWelding.com, from the times of the Egyptians until now, welding has existed and evolved into what we know today as welding. Welding has become a vital part of today's civilization. Looking back into history, we find that welding has been around since approximately the time of the Bronze Age. Then, welding was simply the process of melting two different metals to form tools along with weapons. There were people designated to this job. They were labeled as blacksmiths. Their job was to make the tools and the weapons from the metal. They used hammering to bond the metals together and shape them into the items needed. Welding remained virtually unchanged until the 19th century. GoWelding.org states this is when Sir Humphrey Davy invented a battery-operated tool which could create an arc between two carbon electrodes. This arc could then be used to fuse two pieces of metal permanently. Little did Sir Humphrey realize his machine would be revolutionary to the art of welding. Many of the theories behind his machine would later be used to help form other methods of welding. More recently, in 1919, after the end of World War I, the American Welding Society was formed by Comfort Avery Adams. This organization was aimed at the advancement of welding processes. The American Welding Society, from then on, would be one of the biggest welding associated organizations of all time. Some of the most recent innovations of welding processes include friction and laser welding, which were developed in Russia. These two welding methods have taken the art of welding and improved it beyond belief. They are capable of producing welds like never before possible. Now to talk a little bit more about what is involved in the world of welding. Melting metal together and forming one solid piece seems a little easier than it really is. There are different steps required to ensure structural integrity is kept in the end product. This is where science known as metallurgy comes into effect. According to metallurgy.com, metallurgy is the study of metals' behaviors and properties and their extraction from their ores. This is vital information when choosing a specific metal for a specific job, as not all metals contain the same properties. The choice of the wrong material could cause catastrophic failure and possibly death. Metallurgy also comes into view when welding two dissimilar metals. This action is possible, however, only with select metals. You must know the specific properties of both material to ensure they can feasibly be welded together. After we have gotten around the science behind fusing the metal together, we entered into a whole different domain, protecting the molten metal from oxygen. This is a very vital part of the welding, but is accomplished by using shielding gas. A shielding gas will envelop a small area around the molten metal until it cools to prevent oxygen from reaching the metal. This shielding gas can be provided from a multitude of ways, such as gas that is blown over the weld as it is being made, or even a solid that can be burned, causing a gas to form. This gas also envelops the weld. If the shielding gas is not there, the weld will contain what is known as porosity. Porosity is small holes throughout the weld that drastically reduce structural integrity. As a civilization, we have constantly building and creating things, many of which require some bit of welding. This means there are ample opportunities for welders in the workplace. Work.cron.com states that the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that the welders have a bright job outlook. In coming years, they are predicting a 15% growth in welding job opportunities. However, before you just say, "I want to be a welder, give me a job," there are some requirements you must meet, most of which are learning the different process of welding and when to use which. Next, you will need to be able to weld. This can be learned in a few different ways. The most two common are school or an apprenticeship. Schooling is essentially what it sounds like. Attend a school where a teacher is assigned the task of teaching you how to weld. The second, an apprenticeship, is different in a sense that you go to work and work with a guy, or possibly more than one person, that's going to teach you as you're working. You won't be doing the welding, but they will teach you how to weld. After you've learned all you need to know about welding to obtain a job, there's the task of getting a job. If you went through an apprenticeship, you more than likely already have a job. However, if you went through school, you will need to obtain a job. Depending upon the welding program you took, your instructor typically has connections to the welding world. Yet, even after you get the interview, you still have to prove yourself by displaying your welding skills in a weld test. Here, they will make you weld, then test it in various ways to see that you can perform the tasks they need. If you pass, you're all set to weld. Welding has become a vital part in the success of our civilizations and advancement. From the invention of welding, the process of welding, and the employment opportunities, we gather the importance of welding in our world. Skilled labor such as welding will always be needed for society's advancement into the future. Alright, I'll show you my audience. And then we have our camera woman.